Sports medicine has been introduced for the first time in the Indian Science Congress. So that's really a proud moment for all of us. 3 cheers. So the main topic of this, the theme of the Indian Science Congress this year at the holy city of Tirupati is how the science and technology can lead to national development. And we see that in the history of human evolution, there have been many important events leading to the present day civilization. The invention of fire, the invention of the wheel, the invention of the agriculture, the settlements, the copper, the discovery of iron, then the various scientific discoveries, and leading to the industrial revolution and the invention of electricity and the various scientific themes, the great scientists like Newton, Darwin, Einstein, to name just a few. And presently we are into the information age, the digital age, and God knows where we are to go. But science and technology has led to a lot of development, and we intend to continue this chain. Particularly the applied sciences, we have to see how science can be applied for the betterment. And particularly in the sports, we know, we have just heard the few sessions earlier, and we have seen how science can be applied usefully to the development of sports, which again is a very important theme for the country as of now, that sports also is an area which needs development, which leads to the national pride, which should be counted as one of the aspects of national development. Now the sports science, as we just heard, have various branches: biomechanics and psychology and physiology we heard. Food and nutrition is one area where again, particularly for the sports persons, we need a continuing research. And the human performance, how various substances can improve the performance of the body in the field of sports, and that is also where the sports medicine also comes in. Now sports science, we can say that there are the dimensions of the sports science. One certainly would be the training and the competition aspect, the other the nutrition, then the psychological stress, lifestyle, the overall health, how to deal with injuries and various aspects, and of course the environment in which an athlete works, the circumstances including the temperature, humidity, and various aspects of the event. As far as the performance, human performance is concerned, we from the ancient times, the athletes have been using certain substances which are known to increase the performance. Some of them are good. There has been a lot of research. Some substances, of course, you need a lot of protein, you need carbohydrates, fats, various vitamins and minerals, but some are specifically meant to enhance the performance during sports. They would increase, for instance, the blood circulation in the leg muscles, or they would the heart rate or the breathing rate and various things. So there are certain drugs which are used as performance enhancing drugs. Now the drugs can be good, They can actually improve your performance without harming you. There are bad drugs because many of these drugs have side effects, various side effects, short term, maybe even long term side effects. And of course, there's an ugly side to it that the National Anti-Doping Agency is there, which will then, if it is found to be unauthorized, if it is found to be banned substance, then the athlete gets banned. And this time, as many of you know, for the first time in the Olympics, NADA was able to catch three dopers, and they were prohibited from participating in the sports because of this, the ugly part of using of these doping substances. So doping has a danger. What is doping, by the way? You've heard of doping. Those who are physics students would be knowing, would have heard this term doping. The semiconductors, they have equal number of electrons, free electrons and holes. But if some substances are added to it, that is called the doping of those semiconductors, then they become p-type or n-type. So that is where scientifically the word doping has been used. But here in this context of sports science, doping means adding any substance to the body which would change the performance in a particular game. So while doping, some substances are good, they increase the performance, but there are various health effects of doping. And we are here to inform all of you that these substances may not be good for the body in the long run. See, the picture here shows various aspects, how these substances affect your brain, how they affect your heart, how they affect your lungs, your liver, of course the bones, the muscles, and there are various dimensions to doping. Different substances affect different parts of the body, some of course for good, but in the long term, for a short term benefit, I am sure nobody would be looking for a long term damage. Particularly in the case of men, they lead to, of course, many of them, the baldness and the liver cancer, risk of oily skin, bigger breasts, and reduced sperm count, things of that sort. These are faced by men who use these substances, and for women, again, there's a hair loss, and they get manly qualities like deeper voice and smaller breasts, liver cancer, of course, is there, and excessive growth of body hair and things of that sort. So there are a number of side effects of doping, and these potential negative side effects, as I just mentioned, from headaches and baldness to enlarged prostate even, and increased, and all these increase the risk of injuries during the game as well. The heavyweight athletes, the sumo wrestlers, bodybuilders, you might have seen the various gyms, they display a huge skeleton, a huge muscular person outside the gym, and just to advertise that, yes, if you come to our gym, then you will also become so muscular. And many of these gyms also prescribe certain supplements, and some of those supplements, the supplement market is very unregulated as of now. We are taking it up with the Food Safety and Standards Association to regulate it, particularly with a caution, and especially for the athletes. So these heavyweight people also, they suffer from various illnesses and problems during the later stage, and mostly because they are also into taking these prohibited substances. So we totally discourage, in India we discourage doping of any form, because it also leads to an unfair advantage to the individual who is taking those substances. And the players who do not take these substances, So they become unfairly disadvantaged. So doping amounts to cheating, and so we want to say, we want each one of the athlete to say no to doping, and we encourage fair play. In the National Anti-Doping Agency, our main objective is to encourage a clean and fair sport. This agency was established in 2009, and last year in 2015, the new rules for the anti-doping were framed. And what we essentially do is adopting, of course, the anti-doping rules, which again, there's the World Anti-Doping Agency, which governs most of the international events. So the rules that are applicable the world over, we adopt them. And the dope testing, the dope sample collection, and both in competition and out of competition. And those who get tested positive, the result management is done, and ineligibility period is imposed upon them. Particularly, we also deal with the research and education with regard to anti-doping. So doping, as I have already mentioned, is the use of any prohibited drugs or substances or methods to improve the sporting performance. And these are some of the substances which are prohibited for the current year. Every year we keep on revising this list based on our research. And the substances which are prohibited at all times for athletes, both in and out of competition, these are some of the substances that are there. Particularly, they include the steroids and various other the anabolic agents and peptide hormones and beta agonists and hormone modulators, diuretics, particularly those who have more weight, and the manipulation of blood components, and the recent thing is the gene doping. The things which are the prohibited substances in competition also include stimulants and narcotics and certain other steroids, and of course alcohol and beta blockers are prohibited. So to test these, we have a dope testing laboratory in Delhi, and it is equipped with the state-of-art technology, including gas chromatography and mass spectrometry, and many modern equipments are also coming in. These are some of the equipments that we use for testing of these materials. Now, there are some new dimensions in doping, which include micro dosing, which cannot get tested through the normal equipment. And the next is the gene doping. That is, some advanced countries have started indulging in gene doping as well, genetic manipulation to enhance the performance in sports. We are taking a number of preventive measures, and one important area is education and research on anti-doping to ensure that the athletes are aware of their role and responsibilities, and ultimately to eliminate the use of doping. Our target groups are coaches, athletes, and support staff. And the target groups in anti-doping awareness, education is this, of course, the university students and at the time of various events of national and even state level. These are some of the possible collaboration areas which we would like the scientists present here to be, if they would be willing to collaborate, particularly in the nutrition, the food and nutrition supplements that our athletes take. And many of them, as I said, contain the doping prohibited substances. If we could collaborate with them in trying to regulate its use. And the herbal medicines, again, the indigenous medicines that are commonly used in our country, which may be good for certain people suffering from some ailments, and it may be prohibited. We need to do some research on these areas as well, and how the supplements can be used safely by our athletes without inviting trouble. And if there are any labs, the government labs, where we can provide some support for where some of these drugs and supplements can be tested. So we would request the scientists and the budding scientists here to, if they could give a thought to this, we would also be willing to sponsor some research projects by the research scholars. This was about doping and the science of anti-doping. Thank you very much.